soon as kids see a drum, they're just drawn to it. It's so ingrained in our psyche. Back, drumming, before there was a word drumming, or music, was a communication system. If it was going to rain, if it was going to be a war, led us in and out of battles and rituals and celebrations. It was, and if there was a battle, the drummer was going to be up front and took the shots, I was 19 years old, and I was in Chicago at McCormick Place, and I was attending a trade show. I was there, and Mr. Deems comes out, and he goes, "Hello, folks, I'm the world's fastest drummer." I'm like, look at him, this guy like 63, 64 years old, and I'm an impressionable little 19-year-old kid. He had long hair and an earring, a motorcycle jacket, leather pants, cowboy boots. Oh my God, that's the coolest guy in the world. And just like yesterday, I heard, "Oh yeah, what machine did you use?" And I turned around over to my left and looked, and there was the legendary Buddy Rich, the greatest drummer that ever lived. And Buddy was standing there with a cigarette and his toupee and his turtleneck, just like he came off of the catalogs in the 70s. I'm like, we got the world's fastest drummer, the world's greatest drummer. They're arguing with each other, and it was just like conduit. I mean, electricity going through conduit, it just went through my body. What machine? If we had a machine, what a great show. All I need is a little black box that can count this stuff. I got Buddy, I got Barrett, and it just, I don't remember what happened after that. I don't remember a thing that Barrett said. I just got lost in this whole imagining this show. So it took me 24 years, and I had 3 or 4 different engineers work on it. 2 Vanderbilt physicists said it was impossible. They even had to check their formula on how to arrive at the speed of sticks, because a drumstick stays in a stop position more than it moves. That sounds weird because there's a blur there, right? But when it hits the head, it stops, it reverses, goes back up and stops and reverses. So you're actually controlling the stop point.
Who was finally able to create what is known today as the drummometer?
Finally, a young man named Craig Allen was a student of mine, was a drumming student. He came in, and I was drawing on it 24 years later. By this time, both Mr. Deems and Mr. Rich, Buddy Rich and Barrett Deems, had passed away, but I'm still working on this problem. And Craig said, after one of his lessons, said, "What are you working on?" And I told him, and he just started spitting stuff out. "Have you tried a transistor 303, in line with it?" I'm like, "No, how do you know this?" He said, "Well, I have a master's in electronics, and I would like to try this." And I said, "Well, I've got another guy that's working on it right now, but if he passes or can't do it, then I would love to give you a shot." Well, this guy said it couldn't be done, so Craig took it, and 90 days later had it worked out, and now we call it, first one we call Frankenstein, because it was a big old huge black box. We called it Frankenstein, but now it's a small cute little box we call drummometer.
When I first met Boo McAfee, it was at the Nashville Percussion Institute, and he had an office on Lafayette, however way you want to say it. And I walked in to try to get some students, and he had a very amazing approach because he was very open to checking out a video I had and just let me know how much he enjoyed it. And he was one of the few people in town that didn't just go, "Yeah, whatever, let's get out of here." And that's also where I was introduced kind of on accident, because it was sitting out, the first prototype, I believe, of the drummometer.
And Johnny comes in one day, he's opening a show there for Simon Phillips, one of our big festivals, and he's like, "What is that?" And I wasn't there, one of the teachers says, "That's a product that Boo's working on." And he said, "Oh yeah, how does it work?" So they showed him, exactly what I just said, single stroke roll for 60 seconds or whatever.
And he had told me in the past what it did, so I just kind of assumed it was so easy to operate that I just started doing it to see what would happen.
Johnny just throws down, and he runs like 860, 861.
And then he came in, and a couple of other friends, and he said, "Did you really run above 800? We'll see it again."
So I go down, and Johnny's doing it, and he just keeps going up, just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. So then he would come over in the afternoon. We wanted to work to see how fast he could go. And we were thinking, well, could you get to 1,000? Is 1,000 possible? Because we thought to reach 1,000 was impossible in the early days, that maybe physically you just couldn't get to that point. And so it just started, as Johnny started practicing, it started breaking out as a gym-like atmosphere. And while one guy was running, another guy would be stretching and would be using bigger sticks and want to get, or try this stick or try this position. And we got to just kind of seeing that the excitement was there. And we thought, we're going to get kind of beat up anyway about this because it's, it's so out of the norm. If they're going to get mad at us, let's really give them something to get mad at. So I said, let's get a wrestling ring. Let's get a championship belt and have ring girls. And one of the girls that was my partner, bless her heart, I love her, but she went ballistic. She's like, I've spent 8 years of my life getting a master's degree and da-da-da-da-da, and you're going to lower this whole art form to having girls in a wrestling ring. And I said, okay, now I know we got it. If my own partner's mad at me, we got to do this.
And finally tonight from the Story Box, they call it the Battle of the Hands, a contest in Nashville to see who's the fastest drummer in the land. And be alert, it could make your arms hurt just watching these drumsticks fly. Meet the reigning champion of the WFD, the world's fastest drummer, Nashville's Johnny Rabb.
The world's fastest drummer. It's not rock stars Tommy Lee, Alex Van Halen, or Lars Ulrich of Metallica. The record breaker, unknown Johnny Rabb. In April of 2000, 28-year-old Johnny Rabb became the world's fastest drummer when he played an unbelievable 1,026 beats in just 60 seconds. But don't expect to see Johnny playing this fast in concert.
I do drum for groups that go out on the road, and if I did that, I'd be fired. So the point is, multifaceted. This is something you want to learn to have the speed if you need it in the drum solo or the endurance.
When the Guinness Book of World Records honored him in Orlando, Florida, Johnny decided to use the opportunity to break his own record. His first 4 attempts fell short.
Slow, isn't it? Yeah.
But on his last try, Johnny pounded an astonishing 1,071 beats per minute, smashing his previous record by a full 45 beats.
I'd like to present you with this award that recognizes you by Guinness World Records as the fastest drummer in the world.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I honestly, Guinness recognized it. It was awesome because it was this machine that is now has to be the drumometer that is what calculates the score. So once that word got out and people went, wait a second, why is that little dude on VH1? I want to try this. Then it started happening. Everyone wanted to get involved, which is exactly what I wanted, and so did Boo. And we just continued doing clinics and different things to show it. And now, over the years, there's been big events for it out in LA, and the World Finals out in LA at the NAMM show for a while. And we are continuing to just get this whole movement going. It's gone everywhere. I did a thing in Australia for it last year, and it's awesome. And the people are coming out of the woodwork that have amazing hands and feet. And also it has moved to the feet category. It's sky's the limit with it.
My personal relationship with all the guys, it's like family. WFD is a family. That's what we actually call it, the WFD family. So as we bring guys in, like Johnny Rabb, and Johnny and I happened to be friends before WFD, so that was a no-brainer. It's very easy. But as we bring guys in, like Matt Smith and the younger guys, we really look at them and make sure that not only are they fast, but they have good character, or that they have the qualities that we would look at in a champion of our sport. So it's not only a business relationship, we take it as a family.
Let's take a better look into the WFD family and the records they have broken. As we know, Johnny Rabb was the first to set a Guinness World Record for WFD with 1,071 beats per minute. In 2000, Tim Watterson set the first ever WFD foot record with a total score of 1,030 beats per minute. Art Verdi broke Johnny Rabb's record in 2001, thus setting 2 records, world's fastest hands and traditional grip. Verdi was the first to break 1,100. WFD World Finals were held at the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California in 2002, kicking off what was an eventful year. When WFD hit the road for Warped Tour in 2002, a young man named Joe Tanafanador slid into first by breaking Verdi's record by 99 single strokes. A new year brought new faces to the WFD lineup. Seth Davis and Eric Okamoto tried for fastest hands and both came out with double stroke accuracy records. WFD champs don't seem to have a limit when it comes to speed. In 2005, Mike Mangini, a professor at Berklee School of Music, became the first to break 1,200 beats per minute, and then also set the endurance records for feet for 5 minutes as well as 15 minutes, which gave Mangini a total of 5 WFD records. In 2006, new talent emerged in WFD. Matt Smith became the first in the 16 and under category to break 1,000. In 2007, Mike Malay achieved the title of fastest feet. Despite many attempts by other contestants, Malay's record still holds. Records were also set in the female category for hands by Lux and for feet by Caitlin Califas. A new kid named Tom Grosick became the new title holder for the 16 and under group by reaching a score of 1,194. Finally, Matt Smith came back and took one of Mike Mangini's titles in 2008 with 1,132 beats per minute. Matt came out in first and gained the world's fastest title for traditional grip. Through the years, WFD champs and contestants have had moral support and a great cheering section from the many Miss WFD spokesmodels. Many of these young women have gone on to careers in modeling and entertainment.
First time I met Boo, I had no clue who he was. He came up, started talking to me. You know, I didn't know who this guy was. You know, because I really wasn't expecting this kind of Amish-looking guy. You know, big spectacles and long beard. But no, I like Boo a lot. You know, I've known him for like more than 2 years now, so I'm kind of like part of the family when it comes to WFD. Oh, it's gotten a lot of like publicity like over the internet. Like I'm talked about. Like I'm not trying to like showboat, you know, or anything. I mean, but that's what I'm basically known as, you know, Matt Smith, world's fastest drummer, you know.
What was the Warped Tour like? Well, it's the perfect name, first of all. You couldn't call that tour any Chaos Tour. Wouldn't have been anywhere close to what the. It was just a perfect name. Warped is a perfect name for this tour. We took WFD out, and every day we would set up at 7 a.m. in the morning, and the tour drummers would come down. And so it became an interactive on Warped. We'd set up the ring and everything. We were in like a 10 by 20 tent, and the tour drummers would come down and set a benchmark record, and the fans could come and try to beat their favorite tour drummer. You know, so you had all these famous punk drummers on the tour, and they would set, you know, 900, 1,000, 800, whatever, as a benchmark, and the kids could try to beat that record. And it was just total. It's just insanity. It's a beautiful tour if you want to go, and there's just so much coming at you. We worked 12-hour days, and we'd set up at 7. We would tear down at 7 because it was our own business. It just wears you down to do that much work. We did 48 cities in 60 days, and you never get away from the noise or it's just total insane. When you go back to the bus, it's not like owning your own bus, because you've got 500 kids that are out for the summer, and they've been told that they'll come and work on this tour. It's the greatest party. It's a 60-day party. Well, you know, for us, it wasn't a 60-day party. It was a 60-day tour to work. But we made it. We actually did suck it in, and we made all 48 days, or 48 cities in 60 days.
I sure hope not. It doesn't seem like it with animosity between any of the World's Fastest Drummer organization. There's been some folks on the outskirts that get upset and try to, you know, with anything else, say they're the fastest or whatever, and it's just kind of like, lighten up a little bit, it's fun, pass the torch on. No, all the guys inside the camp are just like psyched if somebody breaks a record. They you know, give each other hugs and be like, yeah, it's killer, good job. And
People come on drum forums and they'll just slam WFD. They'll just say just horrible things about Boo, me, Mangini, saying turning music into a sport and all that. Because that's the main thing about WFD right now is like, is it sport or music? People are trying to like categorize it, and of course it's not music. I mean, it's a sport. It's for people to have fun with, you know.
I think that if folks are open-minded, and that's drummers, musicians of any kind, this is something that is a technical skill that will help you in your playing if used correctly. Definitely a lot of naysayers and stuff that think it's bogus, all this. We don't look at it that way at all. That's fine, then don't do it. But if you realize how many people came up, for example, on the Vans, the Warped Tour that Boo did, just out of the blue, that might not even ever play drums, they might play drums after it because it was so fun. So it's cool if they don't like it, but there's no harm in it at all. And most of the people I've seen that don't dig it, look at it as that after we get off the drumometer, we're also just going to go around all day on a gig and play, you know, 1,000 strokes on the kit and be like, hey, how'd you like that groove or whatever. You can separate it, and no, people need to calm down or whatever they're doing.
At Nashville Percussion Institute, we use the drumometer as a teaching tool in several different ways. But again, the drumometer doesn't gauge speed because speed doesn't exist. The drumometer gauges technique. And so we would take the drumometer and we would have every student, we would set it at 10 seconds. And we'd have every student run single stroke roll, just right, left, right, left. So they run their singles at 10 seconds. So let's just say if a student runs in 10 seconds 120, we would move it to 30, move the drumometer setting to 30 seconds. That's 3 times 10. So where should he be? He should be at 360. 3 times 120 is 360. Well, if he didn't run 360, let's say he ran 320. Well, you can see there's a deficiency factor setting in within that particular 30-second period. Then we'd run him to 60 and see where he should be. He should be at 720. If he doesn't run, if he runs 600, you can see how it's going down. Just that atmosphere that started in an educational environment, and we started having fun with it, and it worked because it's such a gladiator. Drumming is so primitive and so primal. It's people would come, spectators would come and see the thing, and they would see the championship belt in the ring, and nobody said, well, what is that? That's stupid, that's dumb. You know, it was like when they saw it, it made sense. You know, if it was an oboe player or a violinist, maybe it wouldn't work. But drummers, you know, that whole no brain, no pain, see drum, hit drum mentality that drummers have, you know, they're like, oh yeah, this makes sense to us, you know, drummers in a wrestling ring, okay. So it worked.
With the idea of a WFD competition coming together, there is still something to be answered. What is speed?
First of all, speed doesn't exist. Speed is it's a derivative. Speed is a result of technique. So a bullet just doesn't suddenly speed through the air. It has to be mechanically and technically propelled by some means. So everyone gets hung up on the art form versus speed, and they miss the fact that all what we do, all the drumometer does, and all WFD, the game is going to do, is going to gauge your technique. The common person, or most people in the marketplace, don't know where WFD is from. Most people think it's from the West Coast, like LA. So we've done so much work out there. The majority of our world finals have been on the West Coast, around the LA area. Nashville, it's a beautiful town. I was raised here, worked here all my life. Nashville's a beautiful city. If you want to cut a record, it's a great city. If you want to do an extreme sport that we have, it's not at the top of the list of cities. So it's been tough here to do what we have done out of Nashville. The great thing is most people didn't know it was from Nashville, so nobody came up and said, where's the steel guitar, or where's the banjo, or that type of thing.
With so many things happening with WFD, what might people expect in the near future?
The next thing is to do world's fastest guitars, world's fastest basses, world's fastest pianos, world's fastest band, world's fastest song. You know, it kind of fits into the whole metal thing. What is the world's fastest song? You know, the punk or speed metal or whatever. And you know, I saw this as drummers or guitar players, whatever, trying to rip off as many strokes as they could within 60 seconds. But now, through gaming, back when we thought of this, games wasn't around, you know, so or they were very limited. Now, where gaming is and what we're looking at, we can simply do all this through games. You can play it right at home, and I don't have to move truckloads of equipment all around the world for people to come and physically do it. And that's going to open up a whole mass of people. Everybody thinks, you know, I hear a lot of times with commercial publishers and executive producers and the people that I talk to about the game and our sport, that WFD is a game for drummers. It's a sport for drummers. I said, well, you know, WFD is a game for drummers like Whack-A-Mole is a game for exterminators. Before the games even come out, I've mentioned it to young gamers. And it's already broke out like through MySpace and Facebook and those communities. And there's several guys on there that have pride themselves in keystroke speed, controller speed, shooter speed. And so WFD, the game, is going to deal with speed. Same thing that the sport deals with. But you know, it's where Betty and Joe in Montana or Kelly in Carbondale, Illinois can get involved with, can do WFD. And what's so exciting about this thing is, let's just say Kelly is a great typist. She's going to kick some drummers' butts.
Did you ask about speed drumming? Is that what you said? How long? Oh, I think as long as I can be alive and not be like Arthritis King or whatever might happen. Or you know, be okay with my hand use. Always play drums and always be a part of the WFD and you know, try to get as fast as I can on the pad and the drumometer. WFD started again with Boo and an idea of making the drumometer, and from a quote from, you know, Buddy Rich. How do you know you're that fast? What machine did you use at some, you know, at a show he saw, and he went, wow, that'd be cool if you could have a machine that made that happen or calculated it. And he invented it, and so it was born here in Nashville, and again at the Nashville Percussion Institute, which was Boo's business, and it just grew from there. The popularity here is as good as anywhere else. In other words, the word is spread internationally, so you walk into many retail shops and they have the drumometer, and as I said, in Australia, England, all over, they're playing it. And the cool thing is the Guinness type of, on Hollywood Boulevard, the little museum, they have actual like a kiosk area where the public and fans can check out a record and try to break it themselves. So it's spread worldwide, and it was just born in Nashville, and there's just a lot of, you know, me and Boo live here, so we get to, you know, brainstorm about it, and yeah, exactly. It's born here, and it's gone way out from here, and we have, you know, a lot of support, and Boo's just kept it still grassroots, but it's really grown larger than you can imagine.
There was no doubt that it was going to work. I'm a little surprised that, what does surprise me is the level of the youth, how fast these guys, when we first started, you'd see guys showing up and someone would say, I've heard about this, how do you do this? I'd like to do this. Well, now, after 8 years, you see guys showing up with young guys, 16, 15, 14 years old, with their little carrying cases, and they've got their drumometer, and they've got their pad, they've got their 3-4 sizes of sticks. They got one stick they warm up, and they won't touch, they'll get in the corner, they won't touch anything for an hour till they warm up. So the level of competition and the youth, that never ceases to amaze me. But the fact that people got it as far as entertaining content, I would have been surprised if they did.